What's going on, everybody? Make sure to hit that like and subscribe so you can see what I get into next. Today we're going to be hydro dipping some graphics onto this Nissan hardbody, specifically the mud flaps. We're going to be going from flat black here to a marble pattern that I personally think ended up looking like a zebra. Come with me, let's get down to the shop, and we'll start with getting the mud flaps off the truck. Now there was about 85 different screws and only 4 mud flaps, so figure that. Originally, I wasn't even going to do the mud flaps. I was going to pull out some of the interior parts and start dipping like door trim, dash trim, so forth and so on. But I decided, let's start with the mud flaps. Let me see if I even like the way that this particular graphic looks with the truck. And personally, I'm glad I did, because the end result, I don't dig the pattern with my truck. I feel like after I got them dipped, people are gonna be like, this guy animal catcher, like what's going on here with this zebra stripe mud flap? But anyway, you'll see at the end how they came out. It's a cool project. I enjoy doing it, and at least they're not a dull flat black anymore, and they are different, so that in itself is cool. Now it took me about, 15 minutes to get the mud flaps off, and then I took them over to the rinse station and I gave them a nice scrub down with a little microfiber cloth and some nice degreaser soap, and I just got all the whatever I could get off, whatever I could scrub off by hand, I got off by hand. And you could see I was working really hard here at scrubbing, rub-a-dubbing, and getting the mud flaps all clean. After that, I let them dry and took them in the shop, and I got to work in there. But here's what they were looking like right after the bath. And yeah, you can see that they are just a set of cheap old mud flaps. But anyway, we're going to scuff them up with a little red Scotch-Brite pad here, get them all scuffed up, try to get off all the little chunks of dirt that didn't come off with the wash down. And then we're going to take a little alcohol and rub them down after I get a little of that dirt. So get a little alcohol, give them a nice rub down, get any of the greases and oils off of them as I can, and then we'll be ready to get them all painted up. As far as my paint choice goes, I'm just going to go with my go-to rattle can 2x primer and paint. Give it a nice little shake, a little test spray, and then we're going to coat these mud flaps up nice and easy. A nice light coat the first round, 10 to 12 inches away, giving all the mud flaps a little spray. Got a nice light coat on, and then I came back about 2, 3, 4, 5 more times before I was happy with the way they looked. I did do both sides. I painted both sides up, and then I hung them out to dry, and here they are on my homemade dry rack. How you like that? Man, I'm just all into the rhymes tonight. Well, all right. Anyway, let's get some film rolled out and cut out to size. Now, this is, like I said, a marble style pattern film. It's got some blacks, it's got some silvers, it's got a touch of gray in there, and it's got a little bit of transparency, which means the base color of what we used, which was white, is going to show through in all them transparent parts. Now we got our film cut out. We're going to take our little clips right here, just a couple pieces of metal with a 90 and a chip bag clip I glued on there, and we'll get a hold of our film, and those just help us transfer our film from the cut table over onto the dip tank. So now that we got our film all clipped in, we can grab our clips, and without any interruption, we can just go over here to the dip tank, and we're going to put our film down onto the water. And right here, remember, we want all the water under the film, no water on top of the film. Nice and easy, trying to avoid any air bubbles under the film as well. Our film is going to sit on the water for about 1.5 to 2 minutes. My water temperature is 89-90 degrees, and once it's done that, we'll activate it. Now, while it's sitting there doing its thing, we're going to block it in with my little end caps there, and I'm going to throw an additional piece of tape right here, as you see, at the top. Now, what that does is help my film from spreading out too far on me when I hit it with the activator. So now that we have everything blocked in, our film is sat, we come in with the activator, and now we can dip our mud flap right on through the film. Now, warning, I have never done a mud flap dip before. I learn every time I do a dip, I'm by no means a professional, as you can see by some of my videos. But anyway, I'm going to try to like flip dip this mud flap. I want to try to get the graphics on both sides. I mean, that was my idea anyway. Let's see if I can flip dip this and get the graphics on both sides, is what I thought to myself. So that's what I'm doing here. I got the film bonding well to the flap. Look at that, looking nice. On the back side, I have a little bit on there, but I'm gonna try to go ahead and do my other side now, which was basically my flip dip. And it didn't pan out as well as I would have liked, but anyway, that's gonna be the part of the mud flap that's on the undercarriage of the truck. And actually all the mud flaps, no matter how I dipped them, ended up with not the greatest backside. So I'll probably just put a little personal touch on all of them, but you'll see here as we move along. We're going to move into the next one here. I'm going to cut out another piece of film and get it transferred over onto the dip tank. I'm going to border it off, get it blocked in as I did the last one, and I'm going to try this one a little different. And I think I'm going to try to do 2 flaps at a time. So what I'm going to do here is, once the film has sat for 2 minutes, I'm going to activate it. It's going to be ready for me to dip the item through. So I'm going to take 2 mud flaps and I'm going to try to dip them straight kind of down through at a bit of an angle, but I'm going to do one at a time. So try to do it real slow so I don't disrupt the film on the other side there. So here we go, dipping it through nice and easy. Now I can personally see that the graphics are bonding pretty decently to the mud flap, at least on the front side there. As far as the other side goes, well, that's for another day. Actually, didn't come out too bad, but it didn't come out that great. But I think that was probably my best one at the end of the day. But anyway, we got our third mud flap going through. I'm going to attempt the same thing here, straight through, nice and easy. Now you're going to see me here. I'm going to work the film kind of in towards my mud flap because I'm running out of film to work with, because it's all kind of just going away. It's been activated and it's been sitting, so it's kind of disappearing. So with this mud flap, I had a pretty decent bond to the front side of it, but the back side, I didn't even want to show you. Let's move right into the last mud flap here. We'll get our film onto the water, all the water under the film, no water on top of the film. With this particular mud flap, I left one end of my film untaped. That way I can push it towards my mud flap as I'm dipping, because I did notice in the last dip I did that moving my border in as I dipped helped bond the graphics to the item better, since I was dipping it kind of straight down through. So I'm going to try that same method again with just one mud flap. You can see here though that my film is stretching on me pretty wide. I didn't tape that border off very well, so you can see how it just expands when that activator hits it. But anyway, we're going to dip this last flap on through, and I'm going to be kind of like pulling the graphics in towards the mud flap as I dip on through. And this one worked out pretty decently. This is definitely the best method, I think, like bringing the graphics in as I dip down, but also there's got to be a better way. But we can figure that out another day. Now from here, I'm going to take all 4 mud flaps over to the rinse station. We'll get all the goo rinsed off. That's going to take anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes, depending on how long I wait to get to rinsing. With the flaps here, I did it pretty quickly, so I think I rinsed them off in about, 15 minutes. And here's what they look like at the end. A zebra, my friend. Drop me a like and a comment. As always, I appreciate you watching. Tune in next time, and maybe I'll have these back onto the little Nissan hardbody. Have a stellar evening. I'm going to go wash my hands up, drink some more Dr. Pepper, and take a nap. How about that? It's a wrap.